Welcome to another edition of Hello, How Are You Today? Today we have another excellent guest, as always. All my guests are excellent. I think so. That's why I have them as my guest. Today we're talking to Liam Small, who is a comedian from Newfoundland, St. John's, Newfoundland, specifically, but the province of Newfoundland as a whole has a very unique and great comedy scene out there. I'm hoping to get more comedians from that area, as well as more comedians on this podcast. I just hosted my very first show at the Fork River Brewing in London, Ontario. Get Fork Comedy Nights is going to be a thing that we're having in London going forward. Liam is also a host of many events that are in St. John's and around Newfoundland, I believe in Bonavista, Twillingate area as well. So we have a great chat. I asked him a bunch of questions about hosting because prior to the gig that I just did, I was planning to do it, so I was asking kind of advice and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoy this conversation from one comedian to another, and me asking a more experienced comedian about his trials and tribulations in that scene. So without further ado, let's get to talking with Liam Small. What's going on, man? How are things?
Good. Things are good. I've been back to filming now the last couple of weeks or so, and May has been busy. It's almost like COVID doesn't exist anymore.
Almost, except I'm in Ontario where it's still very much a thing. You son of a bitch.
Yeah, no, I hear you. No, it's terrible. I've been sorry. One sec there. I'm just gonna. There we go.
It's funny. My neighbor, he mentioned, hey, did you hear about the show called Hudson and Rex? It's like my favorite show right now. I'm trying to download it. I'm like, yeah, I know the show.
Yeah, I've years now of my life. I think now that we're into like season 4, I think the number of shooting days is like surpassed a full year's worth of days. Like over 365 days to make it. It's like I've given it a year of my life. Yeah, it's cool. It's going well. I mean, it's funny, you know, because it's often the same people. You know, we get a couple. You know, some people switch or change season to season, right? But it's just a great big fucking dysfunctional circus family. And
yeah, I mean, it's gotta be nice to have consistent work in Newfoundland, where there's not a lot of opportunities in Newfoundland.
Exactly, dude. It's we're pretty fortunate to be working year round. Like I get messages to come up and work in Ontario and try. Where are you? You're in
London.
Right. Yeah. Not much going on in London, but like for Toronto and stuff like that, I get because I'm like a member of the union up there. There's so much going on. It's so busy right now, and I'm just like, yeah, but COVID. I still haven't gotten my first vax yet. Not because I'm like scared or
Yeah, no, I got my first
hat or anything.
I got my first vax the other day. Was it 3 weeks ago? And we're going to our first comedy show tonight. Actually, we're going to Sarnia. There's a comedy show there, so
right on.
Outdoor events, everything. Yeah, I'm not booked or anything. I'm just going as a fan because a few of my friends are on there.
Yeah.
Plus, Maka and I haven't been on an actual date in probably like 2 years because of everything.
So. Yeah, right. Yeah, I need to see her against a different backdrop other than the apartment.
Yes, 100%.
A couple of my friends have done the live stand-up thing outside there at Fields. It looks like maybe Trinity Bellwoods Park has had a couple of events or something like that. My buddy Ryan Dillon does some comedy up in Toronto, so it looks like everyone is pretty pumped to be back out at it.
We're like, I'm talking right now to Fork River Brewery, and we're trying to do a bi-weekly show because it's different here in Newfoundland because we have the 2 open mics at Poachers and at Fox and Fiddle.
Yeah.
And then there's the first Saturday every month is at London Brewing, and then now we're going to be doing Thursdays. So we're hoping that we can just get more and more stuff going on, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And now that I'm actually in a city, I don't have to drive an hour from Bay Roberts to do comedy in Newfoundland.
Right.
So it's a lot easier to get around, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, Jesus, man, doing comedy in Toronto, you could drive for an hour just to get to a venue in the same city you're in.
Yeah.
It's nice though, dude. I'm glad to hear that. It's we've been fortunate, obviously, here on the island. the way I look at it is like, you guys didn't really give that much of a shit about Newfoundland before. So during this whole pandemic thing, just continue to leave us alone.
Yeah.
We're going to stay over here surrounded by water, and you guys can figure out this whole thing for yourselves. We'll just be over here being stupid newfies or whatever you want to call us. We'll just be safe over here on what Nick has been referring to as COVID Party Island. So
it's so I'm actually we'll start now. I'm here with Liam Small, who is a comedian from Newfoundland, Canada. Liam, welcome to the show. Hello. How are you today?
I'm good.
You were mentioning COVID Party Island. It's insane to think that you guys survived Snowmageddon and then COVID and then
we had a bit of a year.
A bit of a year.
Oh man. It's that whole 2 months was pretty nuts for me. Like, we had just finished shooting season 2 of Hudson and Rex, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. So I booked tickets to Las Vegas during like Super Bowl weekend. That was just coincidence, but so I was actually in Las Vegas near the end of January, and it was right before I flew that we had Snowmageddon. So we got dumped on by all the snow. Like, I almost didn't get my passport. You know what I mean? Like, I needed to redo my passport and shit like that. And I was like, the building, like, not only is it probably not open, I can't fucking get to it. For those of you who don't know, Snowmageddon was when St. John's, Newfoundland had 90 centimeters of snow dumped on it in a 2-day period. It was fun.
How many was that of you and me? Because we're both short men. I think there's like 4 or 5 of us.
Yeah.
It was
in places, it was like twice my height. I mean, you could just walk up to the roof. No joke. The middle of the road had 6 feet of snow just on it. Right. So that was cool. So we had that lockdown, which was just like, all right, everybody stay in your house and start drinking. And then went to Las Vegas for 6 days, which is entirely, in my opinion, too much time to spend in Las Vegas, especially if you like slot machines.
And drinking.
Loves it.
Yeah.
I spent $150 American in the airport when I landed. They had slot machines at the airport. I was excited. Forgot that I was gambling in American money.
Well, I mean, that's funny because, like, the only form of gambling in terms of like that sort of is slot machines in the bars in Newfoundland, which a lot of people probably don't know. It's like, I remember going to what was the bar on Tuesdays? The nights you ran.
My show?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, buys.
Yes, boys. And like the slot machines at the bottom. Like,
yeah, there was
I've
no
never seen the regulars there. Just like, gotta pay for rent this year or this month.
Yeah, there was no space at all in that bar. It's the tiniest little bar, but we managed to cram like a Bitcoin machine and 3 fucking slot machines in there. I keep saying to myself, if I had just poured all the money I poured into the slot machines there, into the Bitcoin machine that was right over there, I'd have so much more fucking money now.
but whenever I was there, the Bitcoin machine wasn't working. So
yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how it worked. I just used to see like hard looking skeets come in there using it. It was so strange.
Now, could you, for our listeners, which we probably don't have there, but could you describe the definition of a skeet?
A skeet is usually a socioeconomically a socioeconomic ne'er-do-well who can be found. It's just it's a skate, you know what I mean? It's a waste of
street
sperm.
kid. It's skid.
Yeah, it's like
kid.
it's there's a lot of
usually has like 2 or 3 missing teeth, a couple tattoos they probably couldn't afford. And
yeah, I mean, boys talks like this, like they gets on like this and go crush up a few perks there now. Like there's like a nasally. I mean, if we're talking about like the stereotype, I think there's skeet in all of us. Like I certainly have some skeet in me for sure. Like I like the Village Mall. That's a skeety thing. But these are people who I think skeets get a hard rap, but they're hard, right? Like they're Skeet is someone wearing like sweatpants with juicy written on the arse, like in the middle of the afternoon at the grocery store. Skeet's put out. Skeet's fuck. There's how what else can you get out of him?
Always drinking India or Para Paps.
Skeets? I don't even. No, man. No, like more like Molson Triple X or like like ice drinks with the word ice in the name.
Because of ice cold. All right.
Oh man, just they break into cars and stuff. There's Skeets in every city. You just have different names for them, I guess.
So like when I grew up in Kincardine, Ontario, it was Skids, which I was definitely a part of that group for sure. So, it's just people that are,
You were skid?
Yeah.
What was some skiddy shit you did?
Fucking like throwing my friends down a hill.
Skiddy shit. You were like taking a bite out of crab apples so that when you throw them at cars, they explode more.
No, our thing. So we might have been a little bit smart because like in a small town, like a lot of people don't know where everything is. So our go-to plan was, could you help us? We need directions to so-and-so's place. All right. Well, if you buy a 6-pack of beer, we can give you those directions.
Yeah.
And we'll get in the car with you, drive us there, and then like we'll just walk back because small town.
Yeah, that's a little bit skeety. Like buy us beer. Here's a skeet move. If you're buying the beer for kids, you're probably a skeet. Like we had a guy, I swear to fuck, I can't remember his name now, but we had a guy that used to buy us beer when we were in high school or whatever. And someone Cranford, what was his fuck? Anyway, I don't want to blow him up on in front of your millions of viewers.
Oh, he might be dead. Who knows?
He might be dead. Actually, I think he's Pentecost now. Last I remember, he reformed Skeet. I mean, once a Skeet, always a Skeet. It's in there. Yeah, I think he went full Pentecostal or something, rolling around on the floor and speaking in tongues. But he used to buy us a 6-pack of beer and like a 6-pack and then want one of the beer for doing it. And I remember having to go to him. I was like, dude, it's a 6-pack. I need the 6 beer. Like, you can't just, what do you do? Like, you can buy it. Like, I would rather give you money, just go buy an extra beer for yourself or go get more beer if you need it. Like, then take one of mine. Like, I can't go get it.
When I lived there, I always liked having those 8-packs, the 8 packs of cans. Like, I'd give them a beer from an 8-pack. That way you have 7
out of an 8-pack for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Out of an 8-pack. But yeah, no, I don't even know if you could get the 8-packs here back then. Because yeah, it's a bit different down here. Like, in terms of our like variety and stuff. I don't think we had the tall boy cans back then, and I don't think we had 8-packs. You get 6-packs of cans, I think.
I remember my first day in Newfoundland. I got my cable and internet installed. And I asked a guy like, "Hey, where's the nearest beer store?" And he's like,
"Oh yeah,
the convenience store down the street." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, you just go there." And I got there. It's like big beer chest full of beer. I'm like, "Oh, let's try some India, 8-pack of India." And then I remember specifically, I was coming back home from night doing comedy at Yes Boys, and I stopped at the Esso on the highway leaving town.
Yeah,
and I stopped there and I see the beer in the fridge, and I'm like, it's probably like 1:00 a.m. Or 1 a.m. And I'm like, this can't be open. I open it up. I'm like, can I buy a beer now? It's 1 a.m. I was like, yeah, sure. Yes, boy. I'm like, what is this magical place that I live in now?
You are not in Newfoundland if it's not fucking 1:45 in the morning and you and the boys are like, shit, we got to get to the store before it closes at 2 a.m. to go on another beer run. And they open and then they open up again at 9. So it's like they just make you take a nap, like take a shift off and then get back to it. A lot of people don't know that we don't have beer stores. We have liquor stores. You still have to buy liquor from like the equivalent of the LCBO.
And you can get like the fancy beers there, like the IPAs and shit. But like,
yeah. And now corner stores too, you can buy like all the local craft beers there's like almost 20.
It's fantastic because out of the corner of your screen, I can see all the Miller Lights, the India beer on the top there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a black horse drinker, which is so funny that's. I know.
You know what? I really enjoyed India. India was my go-to. I don't know. There was something different about that I really enjoyed.
My buddy Mike used to work at the tourism fucking place or whatever in Gander, where I'm from. It's kind of a small town in the center of the island. And
it's where the planes went during 9/11. And we made a play about it and everything.
We really, really have been milking that. And this year's going to be the 20th anniversary. And we're going to be like, woo!
Let's have some fireworks, guys. Let's do it, eh?
Remember that time we were a parking lot? Like, it's in one of my bits, right? It's just like, everyone was like, oh, the people in Newfoundland Gander, they were so nice. Everyone was so nice and generous, and they opened up their homes to us and took care of us while we were there. And I'm just like, we weren't nice because we wanted to be. We were nice because we fucking had to be. You dropped 8,000 people out of the sky onto a town of 8,000 people. That's not a visit. That's an invasion. Like, they could have taken the town if they wanted to. They had the element of surprise, like, I don't know, like a variety of like people from all over the world, different minds. I was like,
and you know what? It's even more insane to think that back then it was just flip phones and stuff. So like there was no
social media. We wouldn't have let anybody into our house if we could look them up and be like, oh, you said some hateful shit on Twitter 5 years ago. Like, but it just cracks me up that like everyone was like, yes, man, come in, like get a shower. You want something to eat? You want to fuck my daughter? Like, we were just like, please don't take over the town. Right. Like,
but then the flip side is if people go into the town, they're like, why would we want to take over this place?
Yeah. People were like, where in the fuck are we? It was a bit weird. Like I was in 8th grade, I think at the time. So I was in,
so you probably have like vivid memories of that sort of thing.
Yeah, I got pretty good memories of a lot of it. Me and my buddy Matt went in a lot and like hung out. We kept the like kids entertained. Like we'd play with the kids or keep them occupied while, the parents wrap their fucking heads around what's going on. Cause again, like you said, there was no cell phones, there was none of that. So people were like gathered in obviously all the schools. So I was just going to like Gander, the one school and helping out there. But everyone was just gathered around the one TV looking for news. Everyone is, kind of trying to make contact. Like, it's so much easier now, but yeah, then it was a little bit weird. Right. But yeah, 20 years later, and like the town is just, I keep saying it's so weird to be from the only town that gets horny when you talk about 9/11. Like we loves it.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, it's like, that was it was, when I lived there, all my friends from Ontario were like, have you seen the play? Have you seen the play? It's such a great play. It's a fantastic play. Oh my God, the play. And I'm like, what? Fucking, I'm living here. And the people that live here are saying they don't even give a shit about this sort of thing. Yeah. So, I mean,
we're over it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess some people like still talk, like made it their fucking whole identity. You know what I mean? It became like a
thing. And the play was a Broadway play. It was called Come From Away or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what. Yeah,
Big
you got it.
Fucking.
And I mean, I knew like I met a bunch of the actors after the fact. Like I when I watched it myself, I was living in Toronto. Like I didn't even watch it here. I watched it at the Royal Alexander Theatre in Toronto by myself. Totally. Like I just like I gotta go fucking see this thing. Right? I said to Phil next to me, I was like, if I cry during this, I was like, it's just an emotional thing. Buddy in front of me was from fucking Grand Falls. So I didn't see it till there, and I got to go backstage, and like I'm close, and I know the people that the characters are based off of course, right? So it's cool to, I got to go backstage and kind of go up on the stage, but it was a really weird story about me getting those tickets too, because I remember buying my ticket to go see it off like on Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace or something, right? So
yeah,
I write this guy, and I'm like, it's all of, I don't know, you could be fucking anywhere in Ontario, really. But he happened to be in Toronto. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I can meet up, get the tickets. Like, where are you? I was like, I'm in the Junction. He's like, I'm in the Junction too. So I just met up at this bar that I go to all the time, the Indie Ale House. And I'm sitting there waiting. The guy comes in. He sells me my ticket. He goes on. So I'm sitting there having a pint. And two fellas come in and sit down next to me. And they start talking about come from away. And they, because it sounded filmy words. I was like, oh, you guys, we're just bar talk. You know what I mean? Turns out the guys one of them was a producer making a documentary about the whole thing, the show, the people, and and he was coordinating. He was flying the people that the characters were based off of up to meet the actors representing them and kind of do this visual documentary type thing. And he was actually talking. The other guy he was with was the sound engineer or something like that for the editing, or he was trying to hire the guy. They were just having a preliminary meeting, and it was like, so I'm here at this. I just bought my ticket for the play, and the guy sitting next to me is producing a documentary about the play. And I was like, and he kind of like told me about this, and I was like, so like, you've spent your week with Brian Mosier and Diane Dave, and he was like, yeah, like all those people, like, and and it was just such a weird small world type of experience. It was just like serendipitous, like in a funny way, right? And I was kind of like, okay, I guess it's kind of strange, right? But it was like a lot at once, really piled on. Then yeah, I went to the show by myself, and it was great. I'll give him that. It was a damn fine performance all around.
And so, like, in speaking of like, productions and stuff like that, like, you are a grip for Hudson and Rex.
I am.
You've been this for the past 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You're also a stand-up comedian. Now, I wanted to ask you, how much of like what you do as your job do you want to take to your stage, but can't because you don't want to get fired?
I have made fun of Hudson and Rex on stage, but I mean, there's a little, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds, and I'm grateful to, like, it's like we said before, like, I think we got a little bit off track there before, but, it's being fortunate enough to work and have like year-long, for the most part, work here on the island, and to get to have a job like film and television and have enough of an industry here to keep that going for a year is awesome. Because a lot of you got to fly away to get work, right? And I came up and did the Toronto thing for a couple of years, and I learned a lot, made some great friends and stuff. But there's no place like home. So if I can work home, it's awesome. I will rip on the fact that I work for a dog who makes more money and eats better than I do. Dog solves crime. Like, but so I have a couple things like that, but I don't. All the cast are actually great. There's nothing to shit on there other than just like the sheer ridiculous nature of like the film industry. I mean, there's like zero work-life balance. It's exhausting, and funny things happen. They're long days, and there's always like, I have a bit about when I was doing props and sets and stuff like that. For those of you who don't know, props are inanimate objects that actors hold and use to push a scene forward. I had to buy like little girls' panties for a short film once.
I like that bit too. That's always good
right. So flash forward to me in Walmart at 2 p.m. on asking a lady, "Hey, where's the little girl's panties?" Like, not a good look. There's a lot of stuff like that. There's some funny shit that goes down, and I've talked about that on stage. And the most recent one being, I wasn't eligible for a vaccine, right? Because I'm 32 and I guess I'm relatively healthy. I've had asthma since I was 7 years old. I've had puffers coming in and out of my lungs like fucking my whole life. Listen, like,
plus all the darts.
I'm not well. Yes, I smoke. Okay, listen. Okay, relax. But I and it's not like bad asthma, right? So they said that here in our province, they're
like, Liam, you look like a perfectly healthy young man.
I'm doing great. It's crazy. I got blood work back a little while ago. I'm fine, apparently. I was like, what? That doesn't seem right to me. But so I wasn't eligible for the vaccine because you would have had to have had a severe asthma attack enough to like go to the hospital in the last year. So it's like, because I've been managing my asthma well, I'm not in line to get the vaccine, or I still haven't had my first one, right? So I'm doing that fake wheeze made me wheezy. That's but because I worked on Hudson and Rex, I was considered, I don't know how, an essential worker, which means I could have probably gotten my vaccine well before, but not because I had asthma, but because dog solves crime. Like, they gotta solve the mystery. quick, get Liam a vaccine. Like it was, it's like, okay. But whatever. Hopefully I won't be like as long a wait to get the second one, right? So
Well, I mean, that's the strange thing about, because like I work in TV, right? So we have similar industries. And I was I got laid off at the beginning of the pandemic, found work. That's why I had to move back to Ontario.
right.
And the fact that like I was considered an essential worker, I still can't wrap my head around that sort of idea.
I mean, like I kind of get it, because what the fuck did we do all year? We sat down, we drank too much, and we watched TV and got fat. That's all we did last year.
Did you get fat? You are notoriously just skinny all the time.
Dude, I've been working on it. I got a little bit of a gut going now. Ooh. Now listen, I'm not a big guy, but putting 15 pounds on someone who's not 150 pounds is like more than 10% more me on me. And it's all here. It's like when we went into the second lockdown, my metabolism was like, I'm not doing this with you again. And he just fucked off, left a note on the fridge. It was like, it's over. And that was it. Like, since Christmas, I'd say, I don't
Does
know,
it feel good to have that much weight on your body?
No. I mean, it's not like I'm still.
Oh, some people do. Some people like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gonna go away when I work. Like the job is so laborious. Is it laborious? Laborious?
I think laborious
it's
is the right
physical.
word. Yeah.
It's physical, and I probably don't eat enough while I'm there. So this is gonna go away. I'm not, it's just like a bit of hibernation COVID weight. Good for you.
Yeah, I have probably twice as much as what you have. Like I was like, I came back to Ontario and I started wrestling training again, dropped like 15, 20 pounds. Yeah. And then we had second lockdown and third lockdown. And it's all just come back very, very quickly.
Yeah. I don't really struggle. Like my weight doesn't really fluctuate too much. Like I was walking around at $125, $130 for like 8 years straight. It might go up or down like 5 or 10 pounds, but it stayed the same for ages. And like, again, I get some people struggle with their weight a bit more. So it's easier to put on or take off 30 pounds. You know what I mean? It can really fluctuate for some people, right? I don't have that issue. So to put on the 15 pounds or whatever is like, that feels like that's there to stay now. It feels like that went on and it's staying there. But like I'm short and I'm bald, so it's not going great just because I don't have a weight issue. I assure you, I'm undesirable in many other ways.
Well, I mean, we could just talk about our sponsor, Roman TRT. No, fucking.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. I am seeing. I guess I just noticed it because I'm a bald dude. Like,
well, so like that's a bit I'm kind of like I haven't had a chance to work on anything in quite some time, and so I'm trying to like work on some bits where I'm talking about my age, and I'm at that age where like when they do like a testosterone like hair replacement ad, I'm actually listening more. Sort of
I missed the boat. I'm already bald.
Yeah,
like you can't go back.
For me, like, look, I can't. I don't want it to run, but like, it's going thin in the back. It's just. But
you'll be all right.
Like when you get to a certain age, you like, start listening to these ads a bit more. Yeah. Like,
how old are you again?
33.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You haven't lost it yet. You'll thin out a bit, but
I mean, obviously, I mean, look, you're 25 and you look great. So I mean,
I'm 32.
Oh,
and I've been bald since before then. I think I was like 23 when I lost it.
So I wanted to have you on because you are a very well-versed comedian. You have some of the best sets I saw when I was down there in Newfoundland.
Thanks, buddy.
And you travel around and you've done the scene in Ontario. So my first question kind of to you is that, like, in terms of like being a comedian, like, how have you seen your evolution of comedy grow since from when you first started to now?
Like, I think comfort level is a big one. Like just being in a room, and I mean, being nervous before. I'm not saying like not feeling like the
stage
butterflies in your stomach. Yeah, like I'm just more comfortable with the microphone and talking to people and stuff like that. Bit more physical, and doing act outs a little bit more, like and stuff like that has changed. Crowd work. Type of stuff, there's always try and work on as many things as you can, but you find, and everyone is different, but like finding what works for me in terms of writing, what sticks in my head, and how to, I would say figuring out how my writing or just joke structure process, figuring out how it would work for me. Like, I'm not very disciplined in any way. So for me to say, I'm going to sit down for an hour and I'm going to commit pen to paper and write jokes today, come hell or high water, it's not going to happen. I will clean the house.
Who has the time to do that? I mean,
No,
seriously,
it's crazy to me. I have all the time in the world. I just won't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll clean, I'll procrastinate. It just becomes like schoolwork, like homework, right? So it doesn't mean I don't want to write the jokes. Doesn't mean I don't want to do it. And I still write. Like, I always say, like, I don't write. And there's like stacks of notebooks and shit, in a box in my room. You know what I mean? I write some of it, but it's usually just to like try and remember it for later. And then I'll like, because I hang out at the pub so much, like if I'm telling a story or something, just chatting, or I'm always joking around anyway. So then you kind of hit on something that could maybe become a bit. I'll remember that. And I kind of have a rule for myself. Like, I'll try to remember something. I should again be putting it down to paper and just like writing it out. But I'll say, if I remember it again tomorrow, it's better. Like, it's a good one. If it's still in my head tomorrow, I'll make it a thing. Like, I'll make a point to write it out. So figuring out how that works for me. Like, I didn't know that at first, or even how to write or structures. Like, I had a buddy tell me one time, I was like, oh, that was a great set. You should tell some jokes next time. I was like, right. Cause I was like telling a story, but it wasn't really full of jokes. It wasn't really going anywhere. Right. So learning like what is a good spot to cram jokes into, what is the thing in the story, or like, I'm a bit of a storytelling type, like a longer format comic kind of.
Yeah, but you have like punchlines to a story along the way. Like, you have those.
Well, that's it.
Climaxes,
yeah. So I guess to answer your question, that would be a big one for me, and like learning how to properly host and run a room. Like, when I started doing open mics, I didn't really know. I kind of knew what I was doing. Like, I played in bands and stuff for years. Like, I wasn't a stranger to the stage or that, like in that regard, but keeping the audience at a level, like trying to maintain a level of their interest, and like keeping the laughs going. Someone has a less than fantastic set, you kind of bring them back up after. Someone has a great set, just bring the next comic on. Promoting bar specials, promoting the bar, promoting the show in general. Learning to kind of be like, well, like for me, like when I'm hosting or something like that, I consider myself to be working for the bar, not on like the side of the comics and artists. You know what I mean? Like, I'm there essentially to sell drinks. If a show is going off, we're there to make sure the bar does well, because they're the ones hosting us, having us. They're not doing this
for free. Yeah,
they're not doing it for free. They're not doing it for love of the game. They don't fucking care, right? It's dollars and cents at the end of the day. Not that the bar owners don't care, don't like comedy or anything, but it's a business, right? So, and learning that you need to do what's best for the club when you're promoting shows. And just little things like that along the way have been big parts of.
So, in speaking of that, like in terms of hosting, or like, just doing comedy in general, like one of the things I'm struggling with right now is like doing comedy, but like doing it in front of the same fucking crowd.
It's tough.
And it's like, it's usually just comedians, right? And like,
it's hard.
Trying to make other comedians laugh is one of the most difficult things I'm trying to find. That's like, and
especially when they've heard your bits like before. I mean, it's even when you do it like,
and like, to your point, like, I mean, I'm always trying to think of like at least like 2 or 3 new things I can add into like and like a regular one.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it just gets tedious when you hear the same comedians doing the same jokes, and it's like
yeah.
So how do you not go insane?
Yeah.
In that environment? Because I think I know in St. John's and even London, smaller comedy communities. In Toronto, maybe not so much, but I imagine everywhere has this problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better in this world than taking your entire evening to go to the Ossington and do an open mic for 3 other comedians waiting to do their stage time at 1 a.m. Like, it's it's painful. Those shows are painful. That's just like going to the gym and working out. But going to it's so much harder without the laughs. And like I when I watch my buddies, like I want to laugh in my head. It's like it's funny, but it's not surprising to me anymore. It doesn't like, you know what I mean? So like I would be like, oh, that was hilarious. You added new tags or new parts to that bit, or did it in a way I haven't heard it before. It was really good, but I still might not laugh. You know what I mean? And
I force myself to laugh because I'm trying to be as encouraging as possible.
You're a good guy is what you're doing. You're being a good guy.
Yeah, it's leaning more towards like I am being angry at this now.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's hard, and in a way, I find that kind of makes you write a little bit more too, right? Because it's like I cannot go do the St. Clair's Hospital bit in front of fucking the boys again without zhuzhing it up a little bit, something. And I mean those shows too are great for just like fuck it, like I'll just phone it in and not phone it in, but like I'll do crowd work or I'll see what I can come up with off the top of my head because it does not matter, you know. So
have you ever tried to like make fun of a comedian, like single someone else or anything like that while doing that sort of work? Or
sorry,
have you ever like tried to like make fun of a comedian in the audience while you're doing that sort of work?
Oh yeah,
like crowd work? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did a show maybe about a month ago now, open mic at a place called Elixir here. And it was just comics there. It was exactly what you're talking about. It was a Tuesday evening. It was just the comics. And I went up, I was like, I'm going to roast every single person in this room.
My man. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Cause someone did it to me one time. Like Brian Aylward did it. I remember just lit us all up at the Black Sheep one night. This is years ago. And it was one of the funniest fucking things. Now when I did it, it wasn't that funny. I got a couple of good ones in. And so you're just like doing it off the top of your head. But I mean, that's just, it's play. Like you can't actually go after somebody. I've seen that. And that is fucking the cringiest shit. Is also, what's the word on swearing on this podcast?
You can swear.
I realized, okay, I was like, this isn't for kids, is it?
No.
Yeah.
I'm a comedian, man, just like you are.
No,
at least I'm trying to be. So I mean,
I don't know why I pretended to care. But
we were just spent the first conversation talking about drinking in Newfoundland.
You're right. So it's so it's like, you know, I've seen people use their stage time to like attack another comic in the audience and just leave that shit at the door, man.
I saw that happen once in Vancouver and it was the longest fucking 10 minutes of my life.
Yeah. Just leave your drama at backstage. You don't even got to leave it home. Deal with it after the show if you got problems. The people who took time out of their weekday to drive down, find fucking parking, come in, spend too much for a beer, and listen to us do not want to hear your personal beefs with fucking other comics. Sometimes you might not even be wrong in your point. Like you might be 100% correct, but just that's not what was. This was supposed to be for laughs. Like, and no one fucking cares ultimately. Like the people are just going to talk about how awkward that was. And I have had to take comics aside after a show. And again, whenever I do this, I feel like, who the hell am I to be telling you? But it's like somewhere there's got to be like
someone's got to say something at some point.
You know, someone like, and if I got to be the bad guy, and I like, there are people that like, there's one in particular, I'm not going to even give their name, like, you know, the time of day, but like thinks I like attacked them and like tore them down and like tore a strip off them because I said, you can't use your stage time to attack another comic. I know what he did or the jokes he made. Like he was a new comic. He made some shitty jokes or whatever. It was not fun. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone already knows it wasn't.
But like
fun.
His penance is no laughter from those bad jokes. He doesn't need to hear it from, unless you're just a psychotic person and don't realize, you know, what you're doing.
Like have that conversation after. Like seriously, we're adults, right? And
adults,
needy adults, but adults, desperate, needy, emotionally troubled adults, but adults at the end of the day, just the same. So it's like, man, just leave that shit. And I had to like sit down and just be like, you can't use the stage time to go like attack another comic. And I was like, he, as far as I'm concerned, you're both wrong. Like, and I was like, I will say the exact same thing to him too, like the other guy, you know what I mean? But it just like, and I had to be the bad guy, and it's like come up like online and stuff, and it just got overwhelming, right? But you got to be the bad guy, but yeah, it's just no bueno. It's so cringy to just stage drama, and
Yeah.
so we're all.
So like, I have a weird, because I just started taking comedy like kind of like seriously in terms of like wanting to do it like in Newfoundland with you guys. But I've done open mics in Vancouver, England, Ireland, a few places. I just like, I'm kind of realizing now this is something I want to really pursue. And like I've gone into these different environments, and each environment is so different and unique. But I feel like Newfoundland's probably the most unique of the environments, because Newfoundland has this unique aura of comedy around it. Because like a lot of the most successful comedians from Canada, in terms of like stand-up, come from Newfoundland. I mean, I know you guys just had the Just for Laughs showcase, right?
Yeah.
There with a bunch of everyone there, and like, why do you think Newfoundland is such a hotbed for comedy?
Like I don't like there's talented comics like all over the country, obviously. But our culture, I suppose, like I don't know, maybe it's like per capita funny. You know what I mean? Like there's more, as we're very storytelling kind of people, right? There's that. There's a looseness to the identity. I mean, again, everyone's different, but like if we're just talking culturally speaking, bit like looser, not take yourself so seriously, kind of. We have this like defeatist attitude, like that we are the kick dog, you know. We're the poorest, or we've been fucked, the fisheries fucked, Muskrat Falls got us fucked, everything's been fucked, it's going to continue to be fucked, right? So there's kind of like a funness to that as well, because it's like, who cares, it's just more I don't know, the words aren't really coming to me to describe it, but I think you almost have to be, in a way, like the conditions and stuff.
I'll put some words. I think the seclusion makes you guys just like have your own sort of uniqueness. Like there's no other place in Canada or even North America that has anything like what you guys have.
It certainly heightens the contrast. You know what I mean? Like the gap. I mean, even physically, like geographically speaking, being isolated like that. You see, like it's just such a difference to like compared to say like Toronto or Montreal, which are unique in their own ways, but when you look, it's like we're much different. No, all the Maritimes really.
Okay, well,
we have our own brand.
I want to ask you about that. So you've done comedy in Toronto, right? How much of a pain in the ass is it? Because I've met a few comedians from Toronto, kind of dicks, in my opinion.
There's dicks everywhere. I'm not gonna disparage Toronto.
No, but like, do you think they might be a bit too spoiled with so many open mics? Like they have so much.
I think Toronto in general needs to realize that there's more to Canada than Toronto. Is like, just go learn some stuff about the country in a lot of ways. Toronto is very much about Toronto, which I find funny in a way for a city that seems to not have any identity itself other than we're Toronto. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, like, are we talking about Greek town, Asian town, Russian town?
There's all the districts. It has all the makings of a major. It is like, it's our biggest city. I like Toronto. But like, what is Toronto's dish? Like, what is Toronto's dish? What is the food? Or like there's nothing that like I see and it screams Toronto to me, other than like a pair of Bluntstones and like craft beer. Like there's something about that, the spot. Again, met so many people that I love from Toronto. I'm just talking about like the city's identity itself. And I felt very out of place there. There's something missing, I think. And I don't know what that is, but like to do comedy up there, I met, like I said, I met a lot of wonderful people, but I wasn't out at it enough, I don't think, to really get into it. I did a couple shows like Hamilton, Cambridge. I probably did more comedy in Hamilton than I did
See,
in
Hamilton to me is
Toronto.
one of those great cities where it does have that, like they have
Hamilton
an
has
identity.
character. Hamilton has character. Toronto doesn't. I don't know what it is. Like, I just, Hamilton, it's like gritty. It's it's
I like
blue
it's one of my favorite
collar. Right?
cities. Yeah, it's
I
awesome.
love the Hammer. I do. Right. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't think it's anybody's fault. Toronto is very Toronto centric.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I found it, there was lots of shows and opportunity to do comedy. Obviously there's more opportunities for growth and a wider audience. And the 5 minutes that you're working on in London, where you have to do it in front of the same people every week, like we were talking about, well, you can shop that around the city. You can do it in front of different people because there's enough shows and gigs you can, really hammer down. There's more to it. There's probably a couple thousand comedians in Toronto. I don't know how many are active or whatever, but we have like 30 here in Newfoundland, right? So there are dicks everywhere. I'm there's dicks.
Yeah,
here.
I probably shouldn't have used that as a definition.
It's okay.
But you know what I mean? Like guys that like,
clicky.
I've run into a handful of comedians who probably don't believe that what's the word before don't think their shit smells, sort of thing.
Shit don't stink. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And like then you see them perform and you're just like, the fuck are we talking about here? Do they not like, and like I'm not trying to say I'm good at all because I'm still new, but like I mean like it's mind-boggling to see like so many people like not see that they're not getting reaction, and it's frustrating me because I'm always trying to do new stuff.
Yeah. And it's small communities of artists, and when everyone is scrambling for something, there's gonna be drama. It's gonna happen. Like I said, it happens here. So I mean, there's always gonna be that part of it. The only thing I found difficult about Toronto was like, you could sign up for shows. It was a little more difficult to get your foot in the door without a mention. Like my buddy Ryan Dillon put me on shows and stuff like that. You know what I mean? If I was going in not knowing anybody, it would have been more difficult. But I remember like trying to sign up for an open mic and stuff like that. And I would have to, I mentioned the Ossington. So I'd need the day off work. I'd had to be not working because when I work, it's, fucking 13 hours a day, 14 hours a day, 15 hours a day. You don't have a life.
Yeah.
So I have the day off. So I would need to, take the 20, like half an hour just to get to the spot to sign up. So I had to leave my house at 5 to get there for just before 6. So I could sign up, and you'd have to beat out anybody else who was going there who like know the routine and stuff. There's Humber College or whatever they're turning out entertainers. Like, so you're trying to get ahead of what they call like the Humber kids, to sign up for a mic. So, okay, you get there like 15 minutes late, you're number 35 on a list or something like that.
It's so much work for like very minimal like reward.
And I get it. There's a grind. You got to pay your dues and stuff. This is part of it, but like, to sign,
that's part of the journey.
You sign up at 6 for a show that starts at 10 and you're number 32. So by the time you go up, it's 1 a.m. and you're 32 performing.
People on an open mic? Are you fucking serious?
This isn't every show, but this is like one. You know what I mean? So like I went up to perform in front of 3 other comics who had been there all night just waiting. They signed up after me. That's the only reason they're still there. It's like it may as well just been like a hanging light bulb in the room. Like there was nothing, right? So that part can get soul crushing, especially if you're kind of used to, and I'm not like saying anyway, like, you're above it, but it's like if you're used to being able to come in and do 10s and it's just what you're accustomed to or whatever, and you can sign up and not have to worry about it, that change and stuff is difficult.
One of the most eye-opening experiences I had, and I may have told the story on another podcast, I'm not sure. But I was in Vancouver. I was on vacation. I was like, I want to do an open mic. So I signed up for it. and there was a girl. Her name was Melissa, and she was in a wheelchair. This was her first time trying to do stand up, wanting to do stand up, and I think there's like maybe 50 people to sign up, but then there was like established comedians that came in and kept on taking time, taking time. It was 4 hours until I got on stage, and
Right.
she still
Drop-ins.
hadn't, and she still hadn't gone on stage.
Yeah.
Like a woman in a wheelchair trying to like, I mean, and I was like, that's a horrible like first impression for comedy
Yeah.
for someone like
And
that.
that's the host management too and stuff, you know, and you can let it get, you know, it's hard to say no sometimes when someone established comes in like, hey, can I do 5? You don't want to be like,
Oh,
no,
but
the
like
show is too long.
these guys
but
weren't doing 5; they were doing like 10. Like they were like,
yeah.
and they were just trying new stuff, so they weren't getting. It's very eye-opening experience for me in terms of like, you know, in terms of like how to run a show kind of thing, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so I
yeah,
wanted to ask.
I actually gave up comedy for a period while I was in Toronto because I just wasn't enjoying it. And this is my fault too. I'm not putting this on anybody, but like I found like so much of my acting material and things I done here, references and things, and it's just I realized how much of my material I would have to set up by explaining what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
And I wanted to ask you the difference between Newfoundland comedy and like going to work on the mainland has got to be huge.
Yeah, well, like there's so people are from so many more different backgrounds and such a variety of people. You know what I mean? Like here in Newfoundland, you go up and tell a joke in front of a bunch of baymen, you kind of know what's going to get them going and what's going to hit. And like it's like you're just playing to your audience. When your audience is a broad spectrum of people and experience, like you need kind of more general type jokes, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm not a fucking super pro or master of this or any, you know what I mean? But like, I would find that the jokes would have to be, you're more, just general stuff, like relationships or whatever. Like, I can't go, I could go in and talk about the St. Clair's hospital here, but I would have to set it up by, there's this hospital in Newfoundland. Like, so you're kind of got to explain like, well, why am I talking about a hospital in Newfoundland? Like, so if Newfoundland is not really important or part of it, there's a lot of references and stuff that it's just not worth. And then it just gets chopped up. And like I said, it's all on me, like writing. I could have changed a whole bunch of stuff, but I think I'm.
And then like when you're in Ontario and you're working like, well, you said 13-hour days, and you're then having to work another 6 hours to get stage time. I mean, like there's only so much that your body can handle mentally and physically. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Only so many hours in the day. Like
Yeah.
you can't, so it was tricky. And just me personally, like, because of unions and stuff like that and working, I was doing a lot of sitting by the phone, wondering. So that was, because I'd be vying for actual work, like real film work and stuff while I was up there. I wasn't booking myself on shows ahead of time because I'd be like, well, I can't, if I get a day, I can't take the day off to just do this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could, but
that you're taking money out of your pocket.
Right. So I spent a lot of time like sitting by the phone, then not getting a call, and then not being on a show. Right. So it was, I'd feel guilty or I'd feel frustrated. So I just kind of had to like put it down for a few months. Right. And then, fuck, lo and behold, I ended up moving home. And like the second day I was back, I jumped on a mic just instantly. And it felt great.
So like you have the film career and you have like this entertainer inside of you. Is there any way that have you ever tried to like to mix the two together sort of thing?
I would love that. It's like get in front of the camera but instead of behind it. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the dream. Like I did a lot of theater acting in high school and shortly after and university and stuff, and playing in bands. Like I'm always doing something, right? And back in those days, I was like, if I'm working backstage, I'm getting pretty close to the camera. You're getting your foot in the door. Eventually, they're going to need a tiny criminal. When that time comes, or like a fucking bloated river corpse or something, like I'll be ready and waiting, right? But and if my time wasn't so taken up by comedy, film, and then trying to have a life and a girlfriend and everything outside of that, maybe I would. It would probably, pardon me, present more opportunities, auditions, and stuff like that, right? But kind of Again, if you're going for it, you got to get in that world, right? But I do auditions once in a while, and I'll do.
But is that kind of like a thing? Like we're like, I know during the pandemic you started doing the history of Newfoundland stuff on Instagram, and was that like, how much did you get anything out of that in terms of like just getting stuff done and like getting that experience?
Well, I've become the point man for historical Newfoundland facts from a lot of my friends. They're like, "Didn't you read a book on that?" And I was like, "I grazed it." Sorry, what was the question again?
Like, I mean, so like, I feel like we're in this new age where like, I see a lot of comedians doing like specials on YouTube or like just doing Instagram bits, that sort of thing. Is that something that you'd want to lean more into, sort of thing?
It'd be cool, but I did that for my own sanity. It was like the lockdown, things were scary. There were no shows. We didn't know what was going on. And I wanted some kind of routine instead of just like waking up, going to sleep, because I wasn't working at the time. So it just was like, what do I do? Like, time is a fucking flat circle, like just meaninless. Just
well, no, because I mean,
so it gave me a routine.
I know that Colin and Nick were doing bits and stuff like that, and they've been doing like they were releasing those on, I think, YouTube,
just like sketches and stuff like that,
yeah,
and rants and everything. Yeah, but big year for rants. But I'm not. That's just not like sketch and stuff like that is not something I really do. So leaning into the book, I like it had an element of like improv to it. Like I was just kind of shooting the cuff for a while. I'd make my notes, but when I hit record, I would just be reading my notes. A lot of it was cold. Usually what I would do is I'd read the book, I'd read the 20 pages, I'd make the notes, or I'd read the book and underline stuff. Then I'd make bullet point notes, and I would do it between the reading, the recording, and then editing it, chopping it up and throwing it. That would take a good like 6 hours. So it's like that was something I could do during the day. And I was like, plus I'm learning. Like I read a fucking 125-year-old history book. Kind of cool. But
yeah,
that was just an exercise. Like I did not think it was going to go anywhere. Like I didn't put that much effort into it. I'm not great at social media and promoting myself and stuff. So I
mean, I'm trying a little bit more, but I'm definitely like, I'm just like, I like more commenting on people's stuff and like saying, yeah, fuck you.
Oh yeah.
Good for doing that sort of thing. You lost 20 pounds. Good for you.
Yeah.
Like,
I just like making incendiary statuses and stuff like that. I'd rather throw a pile of meat into the pit and let all the fucking lions fight each other. I just watch it. Trolling, I think it's called. But I
had a good troll the other day where like the question was asked in hockey, like how can we prevent violence from overcoming a game, and I'm like, well, I mean, white people are the most violent race in the human race. I mean, and the league is full of white people. And then people just started attacking me. Oh, this is fun. I like this.
It's okay, right? Yeah. Oh fuck. I mean,
like they were so angry.
People are mad on the internet. I know. I was surprised too. People are angry on the internet. It's crazy. And then you meet them in person and call them out on their shit, and their tone changes drastically.
It was the first time I ever blocked anyone. I was like, this is fantastic. I've never ooh, I feel power.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the same. I did the same thing with the news. Like during the last lockdown, I would just periodically I'd wait a couple days, open up like 20 tabs of news, and I would just do cold reads of the provincial news, like whatever was going on. I would just fucking make fun of it or whatever it was. I didn't know what the next story was going to be, and that would usually run about an hour. So it was kind of like, I'd take clips from VOCM, CBC, and the Evening Telegram, primarily those three, and I just run with it. And if I came up with stuff, and it was, but all of it, it wasn't like as a stepping stone to greater things or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't look at it as an audition or as it's just sure people like it. Great. I had a lot of people chime in and say, I've been listening to your thing. Like I really like it.
Like,
more than I expected.
So like comedy seems to be what you want to do. And you're working in that industry. So you had that background of being able to produce like a comedy show if you wanted to, sort of thing, like for like a TV special if you wanted to. like you're a touring comic. You travel around the island, and I think you've done some dates in like paid dates in Ontario, right, or on the mainland.
I've done a couple, yeah. When I was up in Toronto, I had a couple spots at like a couple of the Yuck Yucks,
So
London.
how do you, not how do you get there, but like what is that experience like? Being offered that first paid gig, and like, do you just shit bricks getting it, or?
The first time I remember the first time I got paid, and I think it's maybe a bit different here, or for me, like I've never been. I've gotten a couple of small tours of the island. I shouldn't say that, like John Sheen and stuff like that. The Arts Culture Centers, different things. And that's great. That always feels really good. Like, it's got the headline, the Salmon Festival's first comedy showcase thing there. Well, they didn't have Salmon Fest last year, I guess, but the year before, whenever, in the before times. But a lot of it is DIY. There is no real management here. There is no agent here. So everything's pretty DIY. Like, I produce a lot of my own shows. So I take me on the road. So like if I go to, and they're not like tours, like I'll do one-off shows here or there. I'll try and cram a couple together in the weekend, but like I'm making the calls.
Yeah, I think one of those
I'm
ones
putting
was in Bonavista,
lineups together.
wasn't it?
Twillingate probably.
Yeah.
And I will, I would just work for the door usually. That's my way of doing things. People are different. You can get an offer for a corporate or something like that and get a guarantee. That's always lovely, being thought of and getting an offer for a job. Like, that's great. It does put the pressure on. You want to perform, or you want to deliver, I should say. If they're going to pay you. But if you're booking your own shows around the Bay and stuff, it cuts out a lot of the middleman, like just doing DIY. So, me and the comics, I split the ticket money based on time a lot of the time, and you can guarantee it, so some people are hurting for time. Like, I'm not bragging. It's not a lot of money, but I made, probably a couple grand this year just producing my own gigs. Right. I would love it if there was management or an agent here or something like that could do this shit, or help like put you over or something like that. But you got to go at least to probably Halifax, or you know what I mean, for that sort of thing. And unless there's someone I don't know about, in which case, hello, I'm ready, I'm willing and able. But I don't mind that. I've more punk rock than DIY, right? So
yeah. How do you, it's gonna come off weird, but like, how do you figure out your worth when you're like putting ticket prices out there and everything?
Oh, I generally start from I'm a piece of shit and then try and work up from there. My worth, myself, my
because I have a hard time.
The image of my self-worth.
Like me personally, like I have a hard time. Like I did one show at Forked River, and I was supposed to host it, but I couldn't go because that same day I got a bit of a cough, and I was like, I cannot. And the guy's like, "Oh, next time you should pay the comedians." And I'm like, I want to stay far away from paying or owing anyone any sort of fucking money whatsoever. But I mean, like, you're doing these shows and you're paying yourself and you're paying the other comedians. So how do you figure out that, I don't know, pay structure, if you will? I mean, your own worth.
Yeah, it's the pay structure thing too. Is you want to create a standard so that, like on the island or whatever, like if you do show A, you don't want to be undercutting each other. If the standard is okay, it's $1,500 for an hour corporate, whatever. If someone else comes in and goes, well, I'll just do it for $300, they'll probably go. So setting a standard. So in that way, like, you kind of ballpark what people, like I've called other comics and be like, what would you charge for this or that? You know what I mean? So that you get help from other people. But with the shows that if I'm doing a show like in Gander, if I take a few comics on the road, it's about 3 hours away, I'll drive and, I've got it worked out with the bar and stuff. Like I'll get 2 hotel rooms for the comics, especially if there's males and females on the lineup. And generally what I'll do is I'll just say, like, listen, we'll take the entirety of the door. We'll charge $20 a ticket. If we can get 100, if we can sell 100 tickets, you know, well, now capacity issues, it's a little more difficult now, but
Yeah.
we have, you know, and that's $2,000. And then what I'll do is I'll say, like, if I got, you know, the headliner and the host, or so the host in the middle kind of do 30 minutes and the headliner does 60 minutes, I'll just cut it down the middle that way. Right. And if it's an odd number, I'll usually take like the top of it for gas or, you know, fucking
And so you're
graphic design for the poster or whatever. Right?
So you're being had to be very selective, like how many people you book, because you don't want to you don't want to have like 6 comedians doing half an hour sort of thing, right? Or
oh yeah, like I'll only take a couple for that type of show. If it's like a showcase lineup or something like that, like more like an open mic, you put on 8, 10, fucking 12, 32 comics if you want. But like
never.
Yeah, no, for a pay gig, people get tired. You don't want the show to run too long. You know, 2 hours is with no intermission is that's pretty much it. You don't want to go much more than that.
Yeah, with the Forked River shows, so like, and this is why I want to talk to you about, because you've done the show. So like I'm trying to like just do like give a chance for a comedian to do more time. So like I got, I think 5 or 6 comedians booked, and each of them gets like 10, 15.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-hour show. So, but like we're all used to just doing 5. So I'm like, all right, this will be a way to like give us everyone a little bit more time, and I can work on my stuff at the same time as host and everything, which is like, but like I'm almost like, hey, bar, maybe a discount on the beers, maybe we can do that, you know. But like it seemed like the bar seems to be like all gung-ho for it, the comedians seem gung-ho for it. So like I'm just trying to pick your brain on like so you think the 2-hour limit is, especially with limitations now?
I mean, yeah, like if you're charging people,
we're not,
and you're like putting off a show, okay, right? So no one's really paying to be there. So the expectation is like come and go when you want. I think if it's a free show, fucking run it as long as you want to. People can come in, see who they want to see, and go. It's not that bad. Ideally, you want the place full the whole time, but the longer you go, the harder that's going to be, and the more people will drink, you know, like, and the drunker they get, you know, the rowdier things can be or get, you know, and there's like, if you got a headliner or someone, it can often be really shitty to go up and have to do like your 20 or 30 minutes to a now half empty room. And those who are here are drunk, start to talk amongst themselves. The energy starts to dissipate.
Yeah. And how much, so like when you're doing something like that, like how far in advance do you advertise it so people know, oh, this is a comedy show night, like you're coming for some drinks and maybe a little bit of chatter?
Yeah. Like if you're doing like a monthly,
we're doing it bi-monthly, so we're gonna try and make it like a every other Thursday type thing.
Yeah, well then you've got it established, right? You've got established times. I know that shows every putting a 2-week gap can confuse people, but if you've got a running schedule and they're going to just be that way, then people will just know that it'll take a bit of time to gain momentum, I guess, but it'll build and people will begin to know that's a regular thing. If you're doing just a one-off, you know, I personally like to like a good month in advance, you know, so that's but that's entirely up to you. Like I'm if I'm doing a show in Canada, like I'm trying to promote a show around the Bay, I can't actually physically get there to do it or get the word out and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's trickier.
No, we're hoping that like it catches on, because like I don't have a marketing degree, so I'm just trying to base it off like, Thursdays are usually paydays sort of thing. They do trivia every other Thursday. So like when they do, so like they'll do trivia, we'll do trivia comedy. So we'll establish Thursday.
Oh, that's cool. You gotta get regulars and stuff. Thursday is the new Friday anyway.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking, right? They want to do Saturday. I'm like, Saturday people want to go out and like kind of chat a bit more, whereas Thursdays they might just want to kind of get entertained because it's payday. Yeah, and that's why I'm hoping. And I'm hoping that, you know, like the venue's awesome. I'll send you a picture. But we're all performing in front of these oak barrels at the brewery. It's just really cool. And I'm hoping that, you know, it leads to like maybe like, you know, oh, it's popular enough. Why don't we try bringing in a paid comedian and like doing a paid gig sort of thing? But
and you've got access to comics, like which is a good thing. You are in a city, so that should be easier. Just probably Facebook groups you can just slide into and drop, you know, an event link. you have more comics, more people around. You know, me trying to do a show again. I just keep using Gander as an example. Is like it's a town of 8,000 people, so getting 100 of them in a room is gonna be a lot harder than casting a net on a city of 100,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, the equivalent being like, okay, well, if I got to get 100 people out of 10,000 to come, what's like, what, 1% of the people? So you're like, okay. So if you had to get 1% of London, you're looking at what? How many people? 1,500? How many people live in London?
300, about 360,000.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd need to get 3,600 people in a room to hit that same kind of number. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so a little bit trickier to get them. Now, luckily, that's where I grew up. My family are from there, and people know word of mouth can travel a bit faster, which is cool. But it's different. I don't think you'll have any problems. I hope.
Yeah,
people,
I mean,
people are coming out again. People are excited to see comedy. People are excited to be back, I think. And when we did, after our first lockdown, when we were able to come back last August, because we were comedy, you weren't allowed to play in a band. You weren't allowed to do karaoke. You weren't allowed to fucking sing or dance. But comedy wasn't in there. There was nothing specifically saying you couldn't get up and speak. So that was cool. But when we hosted like the first show back, was when I started up this room, Comedy on the Bridge.
Yeah.
Show's over now. It no longer exists.
But you got a new one coming out, which I love the poster that I commented on. You're Hulk Hogan, which is great.
Oh yeah, we had that show.
Oh yeah, how was that?
So I'm doing those monthly now, right? So I've moved because I'm busy. Monthly works a little bit better for me and
Nice.
stuff like that. You're not, I'm not worried about lineups and people dropping because they're paid shows.
Now, do you want to advertise that so we can get more people to come to Newfoundland? And
no, you fucking mainlanders can stay where you're to till the flu is over. All right. I don't want to see any license plates with any more than 6 digits on it. I'm not interested. Come back to me when I know tourism is failing right now and we got rotational workers got to come and go and everything. And yes, everyone misses their grandmother. Stay where you're to. No, I obviously not. But yeah, no, it's their monthly shows. Well, we've done 2, hoping to just keep it going. The guys at the Newfoundland Embassy are really good. We've had a lot of fun. See where it goes into.
Have you thought about? I know we talked about when I was living there, but have you reached out to the wrestling promotion to get involved with them by any chance?
I have not. I do know, of course, like Mike Barrington and the guys. He's kind of like a liaison, between the two. And the last thing I did with a wrestling show was like I played music at one. Like we were in a Motorhead cover band, playing shows. And my buddy Scotty, used to wrestle all the time. So I haven't. I'd love it personally. I still got love for wrestling, and to be.
I want to see you. I want to see you do commentary so badly.
Yeah, like just like color commentary or like management or something like that. I'd love to do the commentary, and not the play-by-play. Probably like I'd be more like the Jerry Lawler. And
but that's someone else. Color. That's color.
Yeah, exactly. Let someone else be. Oh my God. Oh, why is his name Jim Ross? Whew. Almost lost it there for a second. Poor Jim.
No, you want to be the Jesse the Body to someone's Vince McMahon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants to be Vince McMahon in that situation. Vince McMahon probably doesn't. Actually, Vince McMahon probably loves being Vince McMahon.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like would be like, and this is like a dreamland, but like, I know who's the radio guy in Newfoundland? Bill something. He's always at the shows.
Radio guy?
Yeah.
Like from like CBC radio or
I think it's VOCM.
He's at comedy shows?
No, he's at the wrestling shows. Like he would be a great play-by-play, and then you would do the color. I'm like,
you're the fucking the other short bald guy with the beard.
Tall beard, hair.
No, I've lost it again.
No,
tall. Does he work at the university? The university guy. There was a guy who had like a wrestling show on CHMR. Is that the guy? I don't know.
Sure.
I didn't go to a lot of wrestling shows, local ones myself. I mean, I've been to a handful of them, but I certainly wouldn't be able to tell you who was a regular.
Bill Hart.
Bill Hart. There you go. I don't know the man.
No, no, but I feel like you two like would have a what
A
is he?
rapport.
So may host radio guy for Coast 101.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I know him.
I'm sure I've heard his work.
Yeah.
But
He's always at the wrestling shows. And like, and I wish that like I've been telling Travis, like, get these guys that are good on the mic, because like your commentary for your shows kind of sucks. But like get the guys that are used to talking on into the mic and like get them on the show sort of thing.
Keep a thing going. Yeah, that'd be way more fun. I mean, I can't do a shooting star press like I used to be able to.
But you're doing you're coloring. You're not getting in the ring, Liam.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you gotta get involved sometimes.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You stay as the color guy. You don't.
No, because eventually one of those hotheads is gonna come over to the table, right? And then you're gonna have to like throw a little death times pie their way and see what happens. Did you fly a little too close to the sun?
Did you ever see the video when I brought Buddy to the show?
Maybe.
We chopped the shit out of him.
Oh yes. Oh, was that James?
Yeah.
You brought James, yes. For those of you who don't know, James Smith, I don't even think that was his real name. He's a mysterious little fella. I think he's moved back to Nova Scotia now. He's not.
Oh, really? Okay. I always liked I liked him. He always had a very good like Mitch Hedberg kind of vibe, just like in terms of a delivery.
His one-liners are great. Yeah, he was that kind of dude, young fella, musician too. But yeah, he's fucking wafer thin. he is little. He's a very boyish body. And you guys, chopped the living shit out of him. But how great is that? I think that's awesome.
He asked me. I'm like, sure, I can talk to the guys and like we can film it for you, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, James will get out of his comfort zone once in a while, I guess. Like just for the love of the game or just, for weirdness. But like there's such a strange fella. Maybe he just didn't like me. I don't know. But I remember being like, he's like, oh, I just walked down here from home. I was like, where do you live? Like, as if to say, like, I'd give you a ride home or something. And he's like, up there. I was like, yeah, but like, where? He was like, I was like, why don't, like, I'm not going to break into your house. Like, I have no, like, I'm just making normal conversation. Like, oh yeah, I live up on Gower Street. Like, okay. It's like, why be mysterious about it? So I'm not even sure that was his real name.
He was a good lad. So we've been talking for almost an hour now. I want to end with this. Do you have like a favorite stage moment in your career, or a favorite set that you've done?
I've had a couple of sets that I really enjoy. The bigger ones I've been able to do, like say Salmon Festival, stuff like that. It was a big crowd in a theater setting. That usually means a lot. Anytime I get to perform in my hometown at Legends Lounge and Grill is me. It means something to me. And not like one more than the other, maybe, but those are always really nice. And there's just like, serendipitous moments on stage. Like, I don't know. Are you familiar with like the Glenwood Irving video? Like one of the first viral videos I remember seeing, like maybe even before you lived in Newfoundland. So maybe not.
The only viral video I remember is the Costco chick.
Oh, that was way, no, I'm talking like this happened. This was like 2004.
Way before I moved there.
Super early shit. Yeah. So I'll skip that story. But okay. So like, I love it when like little things happen. Like one of my favorite shows in recent memory is what I'll say. Maybe not all the time, but like recent memory, like the first show back after the lockdowns. Like I think I started talking about this, but like when I went up to host and start the night, and I was like, we're back. Welcome to Comedy Under the Bridge. Like, it was a good vibe. And the response I got just from that first thing, like the applause and the whooping and the hollering, like I was up there on the mic and I just like kind of like had to step back for a second and realize that, because they weren't cheering for me. Yeah. They weren't even cheering for an open mic who really gives a shit, but this was like genuine. And the capacity I had at the time was like 75 people because we were at half capacity. So it was still a good crowd and we filled it. and like you could tell it was just like we're getting back to normal. We're performing again. We out here, and everybody was so pumped. And the response, just that opening, like, hey guys, welcome. Like, got up, like I said, whoops, hollered, like the whole fucking nine. That felt like cool. That will probably stick around me for a while, just because like I said, it wasn't about me. It was about the greater, the greater cause. Like, it's like we are doing something cool here. Given you feel like you're really doing something or providing something, not like obviously not a service. You're just up there telling fucking dick and fart jokes.
Well, it is essential. I mean,
it's a fucking, if Hudson and Rex is essential service, take it full circle. But that meant a lot to me. But like other funny things happened. Like I did a gig at the station, and just a funny story that it comes to my mind. Like I was hungover as shit. The show starts at 9:30. I was still hungover. And I went to Mary Brown's, like a fried chicken place for those of you on the mainland who do not know the glory of Mary Brown's.
All right, sidebar.
Sidebar,
Mary Brown's. Poutine, shredded or curds?
Ooh, in the I can go either way, but you gotta kind of go curds. It's poutine.
Really? Like, I always go shredded because you get more cheese on the fries.
It is good, but you get cheddar in there. It's a bit different. When you put cheddar in poutine.
Mary Brown's poutine is perfect.
Let's
go on with your story.
I agree. I agree. Right. But I'm like, and I'm eating a Big Mary and taters like at the bar at night. I'm like, like there's times where you got to go up and you're just like, oh my God. Or like maybe you got an argument with your girlfriend or your wife or your mother or like, people in your life. There is a life outside of the stage. So like when that stuff is on your mind, maybe your car is fucked or something, and then you got to summon all right, okie dokie, like here we go. So I was not feeling it, and I was eating Mary Brown's, and I was just like, it's a chicken sandwich and taters with a gravy and like a can of Birch beer, and it's almost $20. And I was like, why? It's chicken and potatoes. And I kind of, when I started the show, there wasn't many people there. It was kind of a night of the comics, but there was a handful of people in the audience. And I'm doing a bit of crowd work at the beginning, and I get on the Mary Brown's thing, right? And I was like, what the fuck is going on with Mary Brown's? Like, we love it, but like, why is it so expensive, right? And one of the tables in the front kind of goes like, oh, these are pointing at one of them, like, ask him what he does for a living, right? I was like, I look over and I was like, okay, sir, what's your name? And they're like, Greg or something. I'm like, Greg, what do you do for a living? Feeling like this is going to be gold. Greg sits there and goes, I'm the CEO of Mary Brown's. Swear to God, the CEO of Mary Brown's is there. And everyone is just like, get the fuck out of here. Right? I like laughing. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me, Greg. Greg, I have some questions for you. And just, on like, what are the chances? The fucking CEO. I was like, it's potato and chicken. Are the crowd over at Country Ribbon giving you to run around? Like, why is it so expensive? You got a day of the week where it's cheaper and it's still over $5. Like I just went off. I was like, I'll crawl a mile in broken glass to get it when I need it, not want it. When I need Mary Brown's in me, I'll pay whatever you need me to pay. But why? Why are you doing this to your people? It's just like, but it was so great that like of a room with like 30, 40 people in it. And most of us were on the show. One of the tables of like 5 has the CEO of fucking Mary Brown. Why is he at the station lounge on a Friday night is my question, right? Don't you have chicken money to play around with? Because Lord knows I've given him enough. But so that like is funny. I love that kind of stuff, and that, crowd work is fun. And that's kind of, the hosting thing is a bit fun. You can get into the crowd a little bit and stuff, but you can't really do that with a 5-minute spot. You don't have 5 minutes and then go up and start doing fucking crowd work unless that's what you're focused on doing, So I love that. But yeah, little things like that really stick out in my head as shows that mean a lot. I remember my first show, of course, and the second show, like, I did 10 minutes my second time ever at the bar at the Levy, like a bar I lived at the time where I played. I worked there for a bit. I was performing in front of my peers and my girlfriend. It was on Valentine's Day. It was a whole fucking thing, right? But there was nothing special. It probably wasn't even a good set. But like, I remember that. I remember my first gig like in Toronto at Vapor Lounge. Mike Rita put myself and Nick Masters up on a lineup, and I had to go last. Like, not as a headliner, just like the last, like after everyone is so stoned. And, so there's a lot that stick out in my head, but there's a couple favorites, when that special type of shit happens. Cause there's a lot of shows can go the same way. You go up, you get the laughs, you go to the audience and you leave. But when something funny like that comes up, it's pretty cool,
And those are the moments that keep us going back to the stage, eh?
Yeah. Yep.
So Liam, it's been awesome to talk to you, man. You're looking healthy. You're looking good.
Thank you. Yeah, you too, man.
Where can you haven't seen below, so this is why
it's okay. It's okay. It's COVID, buddy. It's okay.
I keep it the nipple shot. I think
you'll have that 30 pounds off in no time, buddy.
Where can people find you on your socials and everything?
You can find me on Facebook. My page is Liam Small Does Comedy. On Instagram at Slack of All Trades. And I have TikTok. I don't use it. I have Snapchat and Twitter. I don't use them. I think I have a YouTube channel. Like some
Twitter, anything on Twitter?
I can't even promote the couple of things I have. I can't even promote it properly. But the main one I guess would be my Insta at Slack of All Trades. You find me on Facebook. I'm trying to like be off social media a little bit more for like my fucking mental health and stuff. It's just so much. But I still use it for promoting and shit. We got shows coming up, Outer Cove, and like who's your guys are gonna fly from London to go to Outer Cove. Myself and Luke Lawrence are on July 2nd. We got a Pride Week show at the Newfoundland Embassy July 18th, and I think we're gonna try and pop one off in Gander on the 17th, the day before. Make a real weekend out of it. And if I'm already taking the day off work, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, and if you're from Halifax or New Brunswick, go to Newfoundland, check out these shows.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be allowed. You're gonna be allowed.
Yeah,
so
that those still exist.
Bring your COVID. Bring your fucking whatever.
Spit in Liam's mouth. He likes that sort of thing.
Spit in my mouth. I'm not vaccinated. It's so dirty and bad
and dangerous. Oh my God.
Living on the edge. But yeah, that's where you can find me. You can check out my, I think it's all hosted. If you did want to check out the Liam Small Bridges, A History of Newfoundland, 20 pages at a time, every day until the bars reopen, I think is the name I settled on. You can find that on YouTube. They're all hosted there. I read the news randomly. Sometimes I'll hop on Facebook Live, so you can find me there. You can just find my personal page, just Liam Small on Facebook, or like I said, Liam Small Does Comedy. What a long rambling plug for nothing. What a way to say nothing.
Hey man, this conversation has not been nothing, so leave it there. Right?
Anytime, buddy. I'm happy to chime back in anytime if you.
Oh man, this has been a blast. So thank you so much. I'll fucking talk to you down the road, eh?
Can't wait, man. Can't wait.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Take it easy.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation I had with Liam. You can find him at liamsmall.com, Facebook, Liam Small Does Comedy, Slack of All Trades on Instagram. Check him out. He has a great comedic mind. I really enjoy his stuff. His stuff always stood out to me when I was living there and performing in Newfoundland. Until then, we have another great guest. As always, all my guests are great, as I said at the beginning. And keep on listening, keep on tuning in, and hopefully we're going to make this thing bigger, better, and uncut. No, that's the South Park thing. Anyways, you know what? I'm just going to leave with you guys. Tune in next week for another brand new episode of Hello, How Are You Today? Cheers.